This is Act 3 to my higher self's first time being alive, like his first actual like life. And once he got up in the ranks, once he started to establish his name as like intergalactical space hitman and assassin, to where he was like a planet conqueror, he was given such rewards and bounties. The higher selves, not the higher self, but the species, the individuals, the beings that was a part of and ran the Galactic Federation, they would offer me their most prized women of various ET species. I laid with female Lyrans, female Arcturians, a female blue avian species humanoid, I think even a dolphin humanoid, and maybe like a few Pleiadian women. And I had at least over a couple of hundred wives. I'm not even capping. It wasn't even wives anymore. It was basically like concubines. Like I loved them, but I was taking on way too many of them, and then I just started to like not really care. I was just doing it just so I could spread my my blood. And so they weren't really considered wives. They were considered concubines, and they were basically like almost toys to me. And it's really messed up to say this because I really feel kind of bad saying that they were considered toys. But amount of time has passed once I started to lay with a lot of these women over time, like over like a couple of 50, maybe a couple 100 years. And it got so much to the point where I had over 1,000 kids. I'm not even joking. My higher self, his DEA, his blood, his dragon's blood, has roots all across the universe. There's probably not a single planet that has sentient humanoid inhabitants on it that do not have his blood there. I'm pretty sure every planet, every star system, including this planet, Tiamat, or Earth, or whatever you would want to call it. I'm pretty sure every planet, most planets in his universe has his DEA, has his blood, has his like descendants and whatnot. And over time, he had enough wealth to where he was able to buy a huge starship. And this starship was huge. The design of the starship looks like something off of like Sonic X. Like, I think the second or third season of Sonic X, like the big ass tornado ship they had that they was like using to travel through space. It was kind of like the same design as that off of Sonic X, but it was a lot bigger. Like, it was huge. It was a huge starship, and it was also a different color. And the thrusters and whatever energy source they used, this ship was basically able to travel at the speed of light. And he was also granted a fleet of at least over 100 other light ships. Because these weren't just regular like spaceships or starships. These were light ships. Like, these ships could basically travel at the speed of light. Like, they were fast. It was like, and he had a fleet of over 100 of these ships and a really, really huge light ship. That's when he was promoted to like a space commander or Grand Master General. And at this point, he was tasked, he was given a huge contract, where he had to invade a certain planet in I think Sirius Star System C or D. And he had to basically lay a siege and a surprise like invasion on a planet that goes by the name Maxilios. And when he basically activated warp light speed with him and all of his other like fleet of over 100 ships, when they got to Maxilios, they basically was already expecting him and his fleet of over 100 light ships, and his all of his soldiers were like over. I think the number of his soldiers was at least over like 300. and it was it wasn't really a surprise invasion anymore. They had huge satellite turrets and drones, flying drones surrounding the planet, to where they was basically able to shoot like some type of like laser beam that was basically wiping his ships to dust. These lasers were highly advanced. They were basically shooting down all his ships, making them blow up. He was my higher self. He was watching his own men get blown to smithereens by these various turrets and lasers, and he was furious. He went extremely mad. He went with a rageful, wrathful vengeance. And the suit that he had on when he was, standing around top of the ship, he was standing on top of the ship. He wasn't even in the ship. He was so boastful and so cocky. He was basically standing on it with his arms crossed. And when he saw this happen, when he saw all of his fleets of ships getting taken out, that's when he started to glow a dark purple. And then his suit burned away from his skin with a golden fire. And his suit completely burned away. He basically looked like, like he had no clothes on. I mean, he still had clothes on, but it was like clothes like of something that an ancient Egyptian pharaoh would wear, and it was glowing with him. And his eyes, his pupils disappeared. He had gray pupils, and the pupils disappeared, and his eyes were just replaced with like a burning bright red. And he was furious, and he jumped down, activated his Merkaba, and just started free falling down into that planet's atmosphere, taking out those satellite turrets, destroying those satellite turrets, shooting them down any way he saw fit. Because he was able to do he had laser eyes. He was able to shoot like energy balls from his hands. He was able to use like force to make those satellite turrets and those drones like collapse in on itself and implode. So basically, like, he was using an immense amount of kinetic energy from one of his hands, to where he was basically crushing those satellites and drones instantly. And before he hit the atmosphere, he was basically hit with some type of like antimatter ray that he did not sense coming. And when this antimatter ray hit him, he was basically blown to smithereens. Like, he got split off into two halves when the antimatter ray made contact with him, and those two halves separated and like split. Got vapor. What did that guy say? That guy came over new. He's vaporated or some shit. And those two halves that split from him after the antimatter ray hit his main body also became many, many, many fragments as well. And these fragments like just split off and just spread all across the universe. And a good chunk of those fragments did go to and flow over to Tiamat. And the one fragment that he told me that he remembered was that when one of the fragments that he blessed me to remember on was that he got blasted down to the first dimension and became a tardigrade, a water bear. And he was able to get from the first dimension to the second dimension easily. But when he got to the third dimension, that's when shit got difficult. He had took on so many physical vessels and hosts in the third dimension so many freaking times. It wasn't even a joke anymore. He doesn't even like talking about it. And he kept messing it up over and over and over and over and over and over. And that's it. That's the end of Act 3. That's basically what happens to him. And even before he got, X'd off by the antimatter ray, he had already lost his arm to a couple of his teeth, and I think his right eye, and he had to get like cybernetic implants. He had to get like a cybernetic bionic arm grafted onto the left side of his body. He had to get like implant teeth or something, and he also had to get like a right eye cybernetic put on, because something else that he encountered before he became a commander was extremely powerful and was able to like make him lose a couple of his body parts without being able to grow back.